to the point with Engage. Well, I want to talk today about Roy, Ike, and Leif. Let's get started on that. Alright, so I'm going to start this off with Roy. And Roy's the same Roy as we've always known. I mean, it got really popular through Smash Bros. More so than through Fire Emblem itself, which is fine. Really, it's just interesting. But now he's here as a Fire Emblem mainstay. Here we go. Emblem Roy, known as the Emblem of Binding, is a nobleman who's courageous, resourceful, and has the makings of a fine general. The makings of one. He's not one yet, which is fair. Roy is a Vanguard emblem, so kind of gonna be a mixed phase unit. But as we've talked about with emblems before, they have a few skills, maybe potentially broken. So for Roy, his sync skill is called Endure, which is kind of like Miracle. It's a skill that's happened a lot, but in this one, the unit will survive a combat with 1 HP, as long as his HP is above 30% at the stop. So there's no like luck percent chance of triggering. It's just if your Roy is equipped, the sync skill, just for having him equipped, you survive with 1 HP. That's at the start of that combat. I'm assuming it just means the first hit. I don't think that if you get doubled, I don't think the second hit will do 0. But we'll have to see. So the wording's a little bit vague right now. Well, it says combat. More so, I think that it's a mistake, right? Alright. His engaged weapon, when we're engaged with Roy, is the Lance Reaver. So, Lance Reaver is a sword that destroys lances, anti-weapon triangle, counter triangle. Always a great skill to have because it changes up the dynamic a little bit. That's one sword you get in your inventory if you are bonded with Roy, while he's equipped, of course. One of his engage skills is called Transcendence, and basically what that does is increases their stats as if they've leveled up. So we can see that it levels people up by 5 levels. We see it used on a pretty mid-game, early-game unit, so those 5 levels, will it kind of inflate it, right? Like if you're level 20, you get inflated to 25. I'm gonna assume so, because you have to not just equip Roy, but engage with him. It's not like you're gonna be using this skill that often, and a lot of them seem pretty broken, so I think this is gonna be a big deal. Alright, his engage attack, the active engage ability, is Lion Crimson Flame Dance, which is a very cool name. Probably not going to be the official version. This is going to damage foes within 3 horizontal squares ahead of them. When you're engaged with Roy, you have that deep red hair. That's kind of a big plot point, it seems. It's a different shade, so it's not like it's going to be too confusing, but it's just a little bit funny to me. Alright, and so that's a wrap on Roy. He's someone that I'm pretty excited to use, but I don't think he's going to be my favorite emblem, and he's not my favorite emblemized character. So, just kind of off somewhere in the middle, which is fine, right? But not all hits for everybody. Alright, and so next up we have Ike. The first thing that I've got to say about Ike is just props to them, I guess, for actually using Radiant on Ike. Controversial take, maybe. I love the design. And it's kind of weird because he is representing Path of Radiance, but I'm not too mad about it. It's the design I love. I'm still hoping there's costumes. I'm hoping that if you happen to be a fan of Path of Radiance Ike, you can just switch that in a menu and use your preferred version, because it's a game, it's for fun. Like, why not let people do that? But from a personal place, I'm really excited about that. Anyway, Emblem Ike, known as the Emblem of Radiance, is a renowned mercenary leader with unparalleled fighting prowess. With unparalleled fighting prowess. That's exactly what you expect from Ike, honestly. I don't imagine anybody expected a longer bio. He's a man of few words, and he hates fame and glory. Very little is known about him. Anyway, Ike is, Ike, right? He's a bladed guy. More like blade than sword sort of build and everything. So I'm really excited to use him on Diamant, who is our blade lord. Ike's sync skill is going to be called Resolve. Boosts defense and resistance when you're below 75%. Below 75% of your HP, sorry. So that's cool. I take 5 less damage from physical and magic attacks. Especially because Ike tends to have pretty low resistance, so that resolve is going to be a huge deal. But his weapon is surprising. Well, one of his weapons, we know we get a few, but he uses a hammer. Uh, Hammer does the smash effect. Basically, after combat, knocks people back a unit. Just for what it's worth. Smash is a big deal for blades in this game as well. Blades, pole arms, that kind of thing. Alright, so his engage skill is called Steadfast. And that's going to reduce his avoid to 0, but have the damage sustained. If you're using that on someone like Diamond, who again is one of your bigger, bulkier characters, my guess is he's not going to be known for defense. So Steadfast is actually just a great way to make sure you take less damage than you should. If it's used by a leader, dragon classes always get a buff here. So when used by a dragon, 60% instead of 50%. So you just take even less damage. Throw Ike on yourself when you're going to be fighting a lot of really fast characters or crit heavy swordsmen and stuff. Sounds pretty good. But Ike's engage skill is Supreme Ether. It's an engage attack that basically what it's going to do is boost his defense on the first turn, and then attack all foes that he can, and deal some extra damage to himself. And heal some of the damage he does, which we're pretty used to. Boosting the defense and then healing HP, that's going to be huge. He already boosts defense, right? So at this point, we're looking at like plus 15 increase in defense. And I'm just saying that is an amazing boon. That's a great skill to have. Alright, and because I like to see what colors this works, here is Ike engaged with Samara, making her hair a faint blue. Much fainter than Ike's blue, but, you know, Ike and Marth and all them have the same hair color. Look, I'm a huge Chrom fan. Everyone knows it. I don't hide it. But before I was a Chrom fan, before Awakening existed, I was an Ike fan. He was my favorite. So I'm glad Ike's getting this treatment. I'm glad that he looks like he's going to be fun to use. I think this is awesome. But moving on, Leif is a character. He's in this game. That's more than we can say about most games. Emblem Leif, known as the Emblem of Genealogy, is a brave prince who carries the blood of 2 crusaders. Really quickly, I want to jump on that. The Emblem of Genealogy. So we have Sigurd, Holy War, and Leif, Genealogy. If Salif comes, he'll be the bracelet of something, but neither of those. Maybe like victory because he actually wins, but that seems a little bit excessive. But it's just interesting to me. Kind of seems like they shot themselves in the foot as far as titles for Salif goes. But here's hoping he can make it for his fans. I know they are vast and numerous. So Leif's whole thing is being an all-arounder, wielding all the different weapons, and being adaptable. So Vital Point Shift is going to be his sync skill. If Leif or Leif's wielder has weapon triangle advantage, they take less damage, as well as dealing sometimes extra damage. So I mean, that's a good skill to have. One of his weapons is going to be the Killer Axe. We know him mostly as a bow guy or a sword guy, so this shows that he's going to be having all the weapons, and it's a killer. It makes it easier to get critical hits, so those are nice. And we have one in an emblem form. We actually have quite a few in an emblem form. I don't know why I said one. Alright, adaptability. This is his engage skill. Basically, if you have an advantageous weapon in your inventory and somebody attacks you, you'll switch. So you have open triangle advantage anytime you get attacked. And that includes switching from ranged or from a melee or a 1 square attack to a ranged attack. You can just switch to bows if you get a long distance attack. Tetra Trick is going to be his engage attack, the more heavily involved one. And that attacks with several different weapons: sword, lance, axe, and bow. And if it attacks with all 4 of those, there's a pretty good chance you get broken because you're getting 4 different things hitting you. Cool thing is if you use it on a key adept character, so or Andreo, probably some others, it actually completely breaks them. Doesn't matter what else happens, it breaks them no matter what. So I love that. The breaks seem like they're going to be huge. That's really all I got on this one today, guys. So thank you very much for tuning in, and until next time.